Welcome back, everyone. I am super excited to have our first return guest on the show, Beau Engman, the president and
Ooh.
founder of Pace Equity. Beau, thanks so much for coming back. We appreciate you.
I'm glad I could be the first return guest. All right. Do I get
Very
a jacket or
exciting.
something?
It's a milestone, and I think I need to send
Okay.
you some sort of plaque for your wall or something because
Okay.
this is a very big show.
Maybe
Um,
at 5 I get a watch or something. Yeah.
Exactly, totally.
Yeah.
So Beau joins us today to discuss the CIRRUS Low Carbon program, which essentially offers a lower cost of capital to developers who build or renovate with a lower carbon design. But I'm going to turn it over to Beau to have him explain at a high level what the program is and how it goes a step further than traditional CPACE financing.
All right. So this all started with observations in the marketplace and then the development of a hypothesis and then the development of this program. So the observation was that really most developers, even though they might be sustainably minded or not, it's very difficult to get a building out of the ground, have it all pencil, and get it financed. The economics, obviously are really challenging all the time. And so what happens is you're driving toward the cost given to you by your GC, your architect, and the design. And really, few people really know how to make a building sustainable and, very important word, and improve your return on equity. So the context is if you're not well educated on this, you think one can't happen without the other, um, or they're in conflict with each other. But the fact is, most developers they just build what they can optimize from the upfront economics, and and that's how they do it, and that's success. And so our hypothesis was that you can actually introduce sustainable elements to the design and improve the return on equity of developers. And so that's really what this was all about. It's more about, okay, because it's really not necessarily a lot of incremental cost. It's more about you make some changes and you can do it at minimal cost, and they have, you know, some real improvements to the economics from improved NOI, reduced cost of capital, improved building value, higher tenant, revenue. So there's a number of benefits. And so the idea was to develop a product and a service really to help builders do that. So provide leadership. So so the idea is you have a set of designs, you provide that leadership to help them regular developers. These are not like people who are already building net zero buildings, but it's your bread and butter developers. Give them the resources to make their buildings incrementally better. We're not trying to boil the ocean. It's literally incrementally better and at little or no cost, but have a big sustainability impact. And so that is what CIRRUS Low Carbon is and what it's become. So we developed the first thing part of that is developing a spec. What does a low carbon building mean? And the
Mhm.
fact is, we didn't think there was a good spec out there because they focused on a lot of things that were not necessarily carbon. Um, and I don't need to go into the other certifications and everything else, but what's nice about CIRRUS Low Carbon is it's only carbon. It's looking at the building performance from a carbon emissions perspective only, nothing else. And that simplifies things a lot. So we developed a spec, and to give you an idea, it's about 5 to 10% more efficient than the highest building code in the country. And that's where it is today. And we have a team of 5 engineers. So we're the only PACE funder out there in the country with a whole staff of engineers. And these guys are seasoned engineers from great companies, with deep careers. And so that becomes our, a body of knowledge to help our developers hit this spec. And so fast forward, we also have a different source of capital for this. We have a public offering called Cut Carbon. Um, and now we've done over $100 million of literally retail investment and impact investment that can participate this and fund it. And so ultimately we get lower cost capital. So a developer might get, one price for pace, regular pace, and it's 50 basis points lower or something like that if they're going CIRRUS Low Carbon. So by the way, 50 basis points on 30 years of capital is a lot of value. So that helps really juice economics. And so effectively, we're taking the discount we get from our ultimate source of capital and passing that to the developer so they get that benefit for doing a low carbon building. And it's working. So nowadays, we have the average benefit to cost ratio is 12 to 1. So every dollar of cost, you're getting $12 of benefit. So you could argue we've really mastered the ability to help our developers hit this at little or no incremental cost. So that's what it is. And there you go.
Well, that's
Get started.
incredible. I mean, there's so many advantages. The cost benefit obviously being the big standout, but then also the sort of white glove service that you guys provide with your design team. So I'm curious, has this just been an effort of making people aware of it? It doesn't seem like there's much downside. I know it takes work to, get a building to this level of design. But how have things evolved for the program since you guys first launched? It's 2022, right, that you launched, so it's been 3 years. How's the
We have,
development community responding to Cirrus?
well, I'd say it's pretty good. We've learned one very important fact, and that is people, developers go out for financing typically once their design is done
Hmm.
and their costs are all firm. And arguably, sometimes that's too late. So we have a mismatch. So this is what you get when you do a product like this. So to really make Cirrus work, you might need to get a different window or a different HVAC system. And if you're bringing us in too late, they've already ordered all that equipment and they can't change it. So so what we've learned is yeah, get in earlier in the process. So if you're coming to refinance a building or do it at the very end, you know, you may not be able to make it. But if you bring us in early, it can become costless.
Hmm.
So that's the idea. But we've kind of had success in every asset type. So it's working really well. In the investor side, we've demonstrated scalability there with the impact investment community. So we're closing our third tranche actually this week or yesterday, and that was a $50 million from retail and impact investors of that cut carbon note. So I'd say from all perspective, it's going pretty well, and it is hitting the impact threshold. So it's if you look at the portfolio of Cirrus projects versus the standard PACE projects,
Hmm.
I mean, it's a dramatic difference in what we call the energy use intensity of these buildings. So if you took the whole aggregate portfolio for us, of one versus the other,
Hmm.
it's probably 20 or 30% more efficient in terms of carbon emissions, this
Wow.
Cirrus low carbon portfolio.
Mhm.
So it's pretty impactful.
So, and I'm sure that translates to a significant savings on the utility side once you're sort of implementing those sorts of energy saving um, factors.
Yes, but I would say be careful with that because if it was only energy savings, people have been doing it for hundreds of years.
Hmm.
That's a problem. So the energy savings alone are not enough to move the needle for developers. So that's
Okay.
the problem with energy efficiency. So if
Okay.
it's just that, that's great, but it's kind of a bit of a snoozer. But you match that with the financial savings, now all of a sudden you got something really material that's worth going after.
Hmm.
Um, I do have an example for you. I can give you a case
Yes.
study.
Yeah, please do.
Um, one is an industrial building I have in mind. So it's a we put in about, so say it's a $20 million development of an industrial building.
Mhm.
Um, we put in 4.5 million of PACE, and this was CIRRUS Low Carbon, and the incremental cost was $180,000. So that was 0.69% of their hard cost budget. The financial benefits of that case, so the investment was 180K incrementally. They had 1.4 million of benefits. So now, interestingly, a lot of that was from energy savings, about 500K. The rest were financial savings. So in that case, that's a third of that benefit was energy savings, and and 1 million of it was financial savings. So, and that's an example. So it's like largely the financial savings are greater than the energy savings, and that's what makes the Sears program so unique is by really taking that impact investor lower cost of capital and pass on to developer.
Mhm.
That's what makes it really compelling, frankly.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. And okay, I want to go back a little bit and have you sort of explain what the difference is between traditional C-PACE financing and CIRRUS Low Carbon. I know that CIRRUS, if I'm understanding correctly, is C-PACE, but it takes it further,
Yeah.
right? So explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, there's commercial pace that works, um, in 40 states. And so Cirrus is just another commercial pace product.
Okay.
So standard pace would be something that just meets the local program's guidelines,
Mhm.
which is different in every, pace district. Cirrus, you add on top of that, you have to perform, about 10% more, 10% better than the highest building code in the country.
Mhm.
So, and it's comprehensive. So you would be looking at, the building envelope, the HVAC systems, the plumbing fixtures, lighting, appliances, solar readiness, things like that. So you're looking at a comprehensive view. Now, more sophisticated buildings, you might do an energy model and actually will compute their performance from an energy perspective and compare that to code because you can't hit all these prescriptive measures because the building's too complex.
Mhm.
So for basic buildings, not to call buildings basic, but for simpler buildings, there's a prescriptive approach like a checklist. You hit this, and this, and you qualify. For a complex building, like so, say it's um, a larger scale hotel, for example, you would need to do what we call a performance approach, where you're modeling the energy performance and comparing that to the as if it was built to code. And so we do that, and that's how you can qualify as well. So, but it's a comprehensive view of the performance of the building.
Very good. And I know we talked about the financial advantages, and that's obviously a huge incentive. There's also environmental benefits to this program, really important ones. Are y'all able to quantify at all what those outcomes have been?
We have an impact report, and um, I don't know the we kind of the way we do it is in terms of aggregate carbon saved and like incremental carbon. What's nice about this is every person who's been in Cirrus, they literally change their design to qualify. That sounds like, wow, that doesn't sound very scalable.
Mhm.
But that's what real impact is. You're changing your behavior, and that's what we love about it. Um, but to give you an idea, the energy use intensity for us in our multifamily portfolio, the average in the U.S. is about 60. You know, in terms of an EOI metric,
Mhm.
that's a median. For our Cirrus portfolio, it's about 30, about half that.
Half.
So
Okay.
the efficiency is about, you know, um, half of what the median buildings are in terms of energy and carbon, emissions.
That's
So
definitely a needle mover. Well, I'm sure that lots of developers and property owners are going to be watching this video, hopefully many in Texas, because I want you guys to bring this program here and do a project in our backyard. If they are interested in where should they go to get started?
you just come to our website and then we'll connect you with one of our local representatives. So we have a local person in 20 cities across the country. And then you get involved, and we can do design guidance early on where we can help benchmark your designs against our specification and really give you a level of difficulty, so to speak. So that's something we can do pretty easily. And we do it all the time. So it can be very early in your process, or a little bit later. So,
But
but
the
just get
earlier
us
the better.
engaged.
Yeah.
The earlier the better is to make it costless. The
Mhm.
earlier the better. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Well, Beau, thank you so much for coming back and discussing this great program with us. Anybody who's interested in learning more, again, can visit the Pace Equity website. I'll also have Beau's email in the show notes. We are excited to see these projects in Texas. And thank you so much again, Beau.
Thank you.